We have got a great show for you tonight. Don't be squirmish. Don't, and no, it's not Halloween either. We have got Joe Shortridge with us tonight, and he is a paranormal podcaster and investigator. So we're going to find out a little bit of his secrets, he went to, what has scared him, what has got him running, and his sister's written a book about it. We'll talk about that also. She helps him out like that. So you will have to go to 222 Paranormal, and that's podcast 222 Paranormal Podcast, and listen to some of his podcast things that he was been involved with. So we're going to bring Joe on right now in a moment. So I want you to hold on and just, like I said, it's not a Halloween, but bite your nails. And if you have a question, you can call in. You know the number. And we're going to bring Joe on right now.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, Joe, let me bring this thing down here right here
All
a little
right.
bit. There we go. I just wanted to throw a little Ghostbusters in there with us.
Hey, I want to thank you first off for having me on the show. This is awesome. I've seen a few of your shows, and they're really good. I mean, when I first was talking to you, I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm not a musician. I'm not. And then you were like, no, we want to talk paranormal. I'm like, let's do it.
Yes, we will talk about some good stuff here, some fun stuff, and we were talking earlier like that, and I was telling you about some of my little ghost hunting from
Mhm.
a while back, like I had done in a long time, and when I listened to your podcast and listened to it, I says, yeah, I got to have him on. I said, this is so interesting, and your sister helps you also, and
Co-star, yeah.
yeah, and
Or
I'm just
co-host, I should say.
yeah, yeah. Now, tell us where you're located at.
We're out of Toledo, Ohio. Um, Pretty much in the center of the city here. I'm about a half mile from Michigan, so I'm not really a Michigander, but I'm close to the line.
Oh, okay. Well, you're close to the line there enough to do it, and we know that Ohio's got some neat stuff up there. And
Yeah.
you travel all around the place for these ghost huntings, and tell me, how did you? Now, you are a great professional photographer,
Mhm.
and what got you in uh, ghost hunting? I mean, it had to be something that just clicked. My wife says I click all the time, but she wasn't surprised. But what got you started into wanting to do that?
Well, I've always been into the like UFOs, aliens, stuff like that. Growing up in our house, my dad had a UFO encounter, so I was always interested in the UFO side. And my sister, now this is another reason why we started a podcast too, is I was always into the UFO side. And my sister was out ghost hunting at the Ohio State Reformatory with the ghost hunter crew. And she says, you like the paranormal, you like, UFOs and that. Why don't we do a show about the paranormal? And I'm like, okay, well, around that same time, my best friend Jackie, I basically say that we were psychic friends. We weren't lovers or nothing like that. We were, I would say, soulmates, but yet we were just friends. And Jackie had a double lung transplant. So she would have to go to Cleveland every year to get a test done. And she went to Cleveland to have the test done. And I get a phone call at the end of the night, and it was her sister, and said, hey, have you heard anything about Jackie? I'm like, no. She says, well, she's on life support, and they don't think she's going to make it through the night
Hmm.
because during the test, something happened. So, me being the best friend that I am, I'm like, okay, just keep me informed. And I hung up the phone and I went home like, wait a minute. My best friend, now this was going to get into why I'm into the paranormal, but my best friend's in the hospital on life support. I'm going to go there. So I got cleaned up. This was at 11 o'clock at night because I worked second shift at the time. I went out to Cleveland. Cleveland's a 2-hour drive from where I'm at. So I went there. We hung out for the night and nothing was really happening. And I don't know where my mind was at, but I was like, I got to go home because I got to go to work. Well, I ended up going home. And going to work the next day, I was working second shift. And about halfway through the night, I get a phone call and they said, Jackie's not making it. They're going to disconnect, basically pull the plug, disconnect all her medications that within a half hour or so. And I'm like, okay. And I told my boss, I'm like, I got to go. And I probably sounded like, oh, yeah, it's got to go, but, I left there and I knew I wasn't going to make it in time. So I went home and I got cleaned up and I started the drive to Cleveland. Now, like I said, Cleveland's a 2-hour drive and I was a wreck. My best friend is dying and I was on my way there. I was a wreck. I should not have been driving. I wasn't in any shape to drive. Plus, my friend Debbie was, consoling me. So we were texting back and forth. So I'm texting and driving, which I should have been doing. And like I say, I was just a blabbling idiot while I was driving because I was in really bad shape. Well, about an hour into my drive, something happened. And you almost have to preface this with, can you think about an electric stove? Okay, the heating element inside of an electric stove. When that's on, how hot it is. Now imagine if someone took that and put it over your head and just like went down your body with it, that line of heat that you would feel all the way down. I'm driving, all of a sudden I felt that. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And it went down my body, out my arms, and out my toes. And the second it did that, I was perfectly fine, just like I am now. I'm calm. I wasn't, blabbering, like a blubbering idiot like I was. I was just perfectly calm, just like I am now. So there's a lot that went on in that 10 seconds that happened. And I didn't realize it till I started writing my book about it. It's almost like I had an outer body experience within those few seconds that happened. I wasn't in control of the car. I knew something happened. And it's just a weird feeling I had. Now, I go into more detail in my book about it, but I get to the hospital. Now, like I said, this was a 2-hour drive. About an hour into my drive that happened. So I drove another hour, got to the hospital, and I pulled up to the hospital and I saw Jackie's sister-in-law outside. So I'm like, hey, how's it going? She's like, oh, okay. I'm going in and I see her husband. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he looks at me and says, they disconnected all her meds an hour ago and they don't know how she's still hanging on. They're like, they don't understand how she's still alive. And he's like, you want to see her? I'm like, heck yeah. So I go into her room and she's laying there and it's real quiet. Nothing's really on because they took the breathing machine off and everything. I reached up and grabbed her hand, and just as I grabbed her hand, this machine starts beeping. I'm like, oh crap, what'd I do? And the nurse comes in and says, oh, she just passed. So I'm like, okay. And everybody's saying that she waited for me to get there. And when I touched her hand, that's when she passed. And wow. Me being a good friend of her, I'm taking her hand and I'm squeezing it to see if it would open up again because I've never actually touched someone that just died, But all that happened, and I didn't really think about it much when it happened. But we were all hanging out at the hospital, and as time went on, everybody started leaving, and then I said, "Well, let's meet at her mom's house tomorrow." And we all left. I drove home. I don't remember the drive home, but I don't think that was anything paranormal. I just didn't remember it. And I get up in the morning and I'm like, okay, I got to go to her mom's house. I get ready. I go to leave. I turn the car on, and on the radio, there's a Detroit radio station I've never listened to. And this song comes on. Now, I have to tell you a little bit about this song. It's a song by REO Speedwagon. And it goes, heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who, and she used to play that over and over and over and drive me just insane hearing that. I mean, she wore out the cassette, she wore out the album, she wore out the CD, playing this high infidelity CD over and over and over. And I'm like, wow, that's weird. That I don't listen to the station. And that song just popped in and made me think of her. And as time went on, I started talking to people about it, and they're like, "You had a shared death experience." And now that I think about it, I'm like, maybe I did. Maybe I felt that line of heat going through my body could have been what she felt when they disconnected the meds. We don't know, and we won't know till I talk to her again. But since then, I've had so much communication with her through dreams, through that song playing in the weirdest possible situations. Um, and that's one thing that with communication from the dead, they communicate a lot through music and that because music is a universal vibration. And by hearing that song makes me think of her. Different things like that happened. I've had several dreams about her. And the first dream I had was when the night after we came home and all that, the next night I went to bed and I had a dream and she was in it. And I looked at her and I said, "Last time I saw you, you were dead." And she just smiled. But we've had several communication dreams like that. And it's nothing really where it's, Joe, this is what the other side is like or nothing like that. They're just normal things. And that really got me to thinking about the ghosty side of the paranormal. And that put me on that path to learning more and more about the paranormal and doing ghost hunts and all that stuff. And within a few, not even a half a year after all this happened, my sister was like, "Let's start a podcast." And I was like, "Okay." And here we are 10 years later, 400 and some episodes, and we're still
Well,
going strong.
now, you talk about your books. Like, can people get the books on Amazon?
Not right now. They can get my book on um, the the non-paranormal side. I did a book called The 14-Day Morning Affirmation Transformation. It's more of a self-help book. But I'm also working on my book about my shared death experience. It's completely typed up. I just need to format it, get a title, and get a cover, and it'll be ready. So you're talking maybe a month from now.
Okay, and then they can go. Of course, the ticker down below is your website, and also
Yeah,
where they can contact you
it'll
and
be all available.
kind
Yeah.
and go to your podcast and listen.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to say it there. Now, I got to ask you this question here:
Hmm.
where did the 222 come from? I've been racking my
Okay.
brain. I said, well, maybe it's the address or something.
No, it has a couple meetings. As you know, my sister is the co-host on the show, and the thing about 222 is we used to see that everywhere. We were in the weirdest places. Like we were doing a show with the band, with my best friend's band down in Southern Ohio, and we would pull up and there'd be a big tractor that had 222 on it, or we'd see license plates 222, or it would just follow us everywhere. There's two real reasons why we called it 222. One is it's my sister's birthday, February 22nd.
Ah,
And also, like I said, you see this everywhere. But another thing is it has like an angelical meaning to it that if you see 222 a lot, it basically means you're on the right path. And we were thinking that's perfect. Jen's birthday, 222, and also that means you're on the right path.
well, that's pretty neat.
Mhm.
Especially the birthday. We kind of uh, we got this number 103, which is
Okay.
our address number. Well, our
Hmm.
daughter's got an address number 103. Our son's got an 103. Uh, then this 103 pops up everywhere, here and
Hmm.
there. And I says, if we get a lottery ticket and it says 103 on it, we're going to win.
Well, I thought about this because there's a part of your brain that deletes everything. As humans, we're deletion characters. We delete everything. I mean, if we didn't, you'd go insane. And there's a part of your brain called the reticulative activating system, and it tells the brain this is important to see this because right now there's thousands of sensory things going into our mind, but we're deleting most of it, like the blood running through our ears, or the air conditioner turned on, or the car driving down the street, or stuff like that. But your reticulative activating system tells your brain that this is important. That's why, like, when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see all these new cars. It's because you know that that's important because that's your car,
Right.
stuff like that. And if you put in the mind that I'm going to see this number over and over, it's almost like the universe will put that number in front of you so that you know that you're either on the right path or you're thinking the right way.
Now, what is some of the equipment that you use when you're out ghost hunting or someone?
Mhm.
First of all, do you get a lot of calls that telling you that, hey, we've got this, we believe our house is haunted, or we believe this right is, that they
Yeah.
want you to come into their home uh,
Hmm.
and check it out. But what kind of equipment do you use?
Yeah. Pretty much all I use, I try to stay as basic as possible because the best equipment you can use are your own feelings. But I
Hmm.
also use a digital recorder. I use a camera sometimes. Usually I use a camera to record me doing things like when we're doing what we call the Estes method, which is where I put on noise canceling headphones and I put on, a mask so I can't see what's going on. So, and then we use what's called the spirit box. So I use the spirit box a lot. And what that is it's a radio transmitter that it sweeps through the radio frequencies,
Hmm.
and the white noise that you hear, it could be communication from spirits. Now, I use that a lot. We use digital recorders, like I said, but I also use what's called the dowsing rods. We use the dowsing rods a lot in our investigations. Basically, what they are metal rods, and I should have grabbed a set before I come on so I can show you. But you've seen them. You've seen people using like this wooden stick that looks like a Y.
Right, to find
Things, stuff
water.
like that. Yes, and we use the dowsing rods. We order a special blend of material that we make our dowsing rods with, so that they're more conductive. And I use those a lot where I'll ask spirit, yes, cross the rods, no, open the rods. What direction are you in? They'll point, stuff like that. But other than that, I really don't use a lot of equipment. We use what's called a REM pod, which is a proximity detector that'll detect electromagnetic in the air, which sometimes is when the spirits will get close to it, it'll light up, stuff like that. But really not that much. I
Do
mean,
you
I
do
love
you do you? I know some use a is it EFI meter or something like
EMF
that?
meter. Yeah, that's the same. Like that's like the REM pod and stuff. And it's a hand, I use the handheld one.
Hmm.
And that's usually my first line of communication. I use that a lot. And different people use different styles. But why didn't I grab that stuff? I've totally screwed this up. Um, but I use that to get my first communication. Then I'll go to like the digital recorder and I'll ask questions and stuff like that. I use the dowsing rods and stuff like that. There's other things that we use called the Obelisk 5. Now, this is a little box that has a word program in it, like 60,000 words programmed into it. And I'll use that sometimes, but I don't know about that much. I don't really trust it that much because you can rub your hands on it and it'll say different words. So I don't know. But some people like it, some people don't. But like I say, I just basically go in with very little equipment and I see how it comes out.
Well, tell me this right here.
Mhm.
What was your first case of paranormal? What is the first time that you went out and said, "Okay, we're going here," and
Yeah.
tell us about your very first time uh, of going on a paranormal hunt to see.
Well, the first time I went out, I didn't get any evidence at all. We went to a place called the Gill House that's in Galeon, Ohio, or Gay Lion, or however you want to say it. But that's in Ohio. It's a location that the um the house was like three different houses that they built onto it. So this is a pretty good sized mansion. And it's called the Gill House because the Gill family built it, and there was supposed to be a spirit of an Indian that would come through Galeon, Ohio, and he would appear just as his face. But the night that we went, I didn't get nothing. So my next one, where I actually had some evidence happen, is at a place called the Collingwood Arts Center here in Toledo. Now, the Collingwood Arts Center is an awesome location. It's very haunted. We've had so much activity there. But the first night that I investigated there, which was basically my second paranormal investigation, down in a bathroom, I communicated with a little girl and I was getting responses, yes, no, and I would ask different questions about her. When did she pass? How old are you? Stuff like that. And I was getting great stuff there. That same night, I was sitting in the main auditorium about 3 in the morning and I looked up on stage and I could see blue and red, like balls, basically what we call orbs, floating back and forth across the stage. And I'm like, this is cool. I can get into this. And had it stuff like that happen. That location me and my sister investigate a lot. We've investigated with a lot of friends. We've done a bunch of events there. And it's called the Collingwood Arts Center, but it is just an amazing place. It's very haunted. We've got a lot of evidence there.
And well, I know the first time I was doing some of the ghost hunting, and I heard the sound or voice like that, and felt like you said, a lot of us your feelings that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll ask you that too, because everybody's different the way they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Different things comes in, and the first time it's like I was just like so excited that I mean I had goosebumps all over me. And what are some of the things that you feel when you feel something that's present, or it's not normal?
Yeah. I mean, you've heard of like the cold spots and stuff like that, where you're going along, all of a sudden there's like a line of heat and cold, and you almost feel like there's something there. And there's a lot of people that say, well, just cold spots, but it's almost like the absence of energy. And that's one of the things I think cold spots are, is a spirit is there. And we know that spirit needs energy. I think that's why we feel cold spots, is because they're actually taking the energy out of the air. So I get feelings like that. The hair that stands up, the electric feeling that you get. It's almost like you're out in a thunderstorm and you're almost about to get electrocuted. You get that electric feeling.
Right, you feel the energy where it raises your hair up,
Yeah.
something on it like that. And
Yeah.
I know
And that's sort of
you're
like,
talking about the absence of energy, which you feel some of the
mhm,
cold. And if people would think about that, the absence of light is dark,
yeah.
so
Mhm.
it's kind of on that same concept.
Yeah. And that's like shadow figures. And we could have a 2 hour conversation about that. But, you know, when I'm on a hunt or when I'm ghost hunting, because I don't call myself a paranormal investigator. I'm a ghost hunter because I basically pay to play. I'm not on a team. I go to these locations by myself a lot. Me and my sister we'll go with other people. We'll go with teams. But um, I feel that when I am interacting with spirit, even like when I'm using dowsing rods, I actually start feeling like tingling in my hands from the electricity that's going through those dowsing rods. So you feel stuff like that. You feel like someone is standing next to you. You feel somebody staring at you, stuff like that. And yeah, you could feel that because you're alone in an old creepy building, but I think it's a little different. I think it's a different feeling you get.
Now,
And
go ahead.
and I was going to say, and you also hear things that other people standing right next to you won't hear. Like I've heard voices and I'm like, hey, did you hear that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, is it in my head then? But you don't know.
That's what
And
my wife would tell me. That's in your head.
yeah, and you're like, yeah, it is.
And something that my wife, when I was doing this right here, she's, don't bring them home with you.
Oh yeah.
I said, well, I don't think they're looking for a place to stay right now.
Nah. But think about it though. We go into these locations. We're all night. We're saying, "Come talk to us. Come talk to us. Come in our equipment. Do this stuff." And then the other night, if you just leave, they're going to be like, "Well, you said to come with you," or something like that. Now we talk about attachments, and attachments are a real thing. My sister, we were in Virginia State Penitentiary doing a ghost hunt, and a few days later, she calls me up and she's like, "I'm so pissed. I'm not." She wasn't herself, and we 100% believe that she got an attachment from there. And what we did was we done tons of conventions. I mean, we used to do 2 to 3 conventions a month. So
Wow.
we were at a convention and there was an Indian shaman there. And she told him, she's like, I just have not felt the same since I've been at the prison. And he's like, you have an attachment. I can sense this attachment on you. So he smudged her, did the old Indian thing where,
Hmm.
I take the smoke so that I put the smoke in my eyes so I can see you better. I, put the smoke in my mouth so I can speak of you better, stuff like that. And she did this ritual with him and she felt a lot better, but attachments are real. And we always tell people, if you're going to do an investigation, even if you're just going to these places, to do a walkthrough where they just say, "Hey, this is what happened here." This before you leave, you should say a prayer, and it doesn't matter if you're religious or that. You got to say some kind of prayer to tell them that you have control over yourself, that they are not allowed to attach to you. They have to stay there. Because
Right.
I've heard so many times where people will attach, and even our equipment, we leave our equipment outside for a day or so before we take it in the house, just because all night you're saying, "Come and speak in this box," or light up these lights or whatever, and you never know what might attach. I was always like, "Oh, come on, why would they attach to?" But since Jen had that thing attached to her, it kind of makes you think, well, even if you fully don't believe that people can get attached or your equipment can get attached, it doesn't hurt to do a little prayer. Say, "Hey," like me, when I leave a location, I don't do a regular prayer. Now I have been with groups that do, but I basically just say, "Hey, you're not allowed to follow me home. You have to stay here. I'll come back and visit you, but for now, you have to stay here. You don't have the power to come with me."
Now,
And that's good.
was the prison already closed down or
Yeah. What it
completely?
is, it's Virginia State Penitentiary.
Okay.
It's in Moundsville, Pennsylvania, or Moundsville, West Virginia. And that's another thing too with the mounds. If you want, I could talk hours about those, but it's a very haunted prison. And I believe it was open till like the 1984. And even up till then, there was a room in the basement called the Sugar Shack, which
Right.
is basically, it was their um, lunch eating space, whatever you want to call it. Even up to then, there was a water fountain for the colored folks, and there was a water fountain for the white folks. And that kind of, I was like, really? In this day and age? And
Uh,
like, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But we have
Because,
a small jail here that was
mhm,
built way back in years, and of course the sheriff and the family used to live in that jail
yeah,
as part of
hmm,
what they had to do, and it's been a lot of paranormal things happen in there
yeah,
when somebody hearing like a jail door slamming
hmm,
and things like that, and it's been people that's been hung there and things, and there's a lot of activity there. And now you and your sister, do you go out and uh, when people want to have you come in and speak in these engagement stuff? I think I've seen a
yeah,
couple that you and your sister's done.
yeah. We are presenters. We just did one a few weeks ago in Jackson, Michigan. We basically tell the story about our journey, and also we like people like to see things. They like stories. So our presentation is pretty much locations, or our favorite locations we go to, and what happened to us at those locations. We try to just squeeze the beginning of it, who we are, what equipment we use, and that within the first few minutes, because people want stories and they like
Right.
hearing our stories about the locations we've been to. So that's basically what our presentation is about. And we've had some really good feedback from the people in the audiences, and that we seem to be doing pretty good.
Well, that's what like people love these stories because
Hmm.
because sometime in their life they have encountered something and they're afraid to say anything because people
Yeah.
say you wacko. Just like in my home here, I always tell my wife, I says, "There's a lady in red here." She says,
Hmm.
"No," and I'll be sitting there and I see a glimpse of like that. She says, "Well, you see something?" I said, "Yeah, she just walked by," and I
Yeah.
says, "She ain't bothering it."
No.
But I hadn't seen her in a long, long time now. I think she was got a little jealous of my wife saying, I hope she leaves.
It's so funny because, like I said, we've done hundreds of conventions. Me and my sister go. We really cut back this year, but we've done so many conventions, and it's so funny when you meet people and you tell them, "Yeah, we do the podcast," and they're like, "Oh, no, no, I I don't believe in the paranormal. I don't believe in that." But there's always that person. They always say, "But there was this one time," and then they go on to tell us
That
a long story. You know,
that's it.
so everybody has a story.
That they do. I've got some
Mhm.
pictures. Let's flash them up and let's
All
talk
right.
about these pictures and who's who. And this one I want to ask you about here. It's already in past, but it was this year also. Uh, this one right here,
Yeah.
Ghost of Rama.
Ghost
Uh,
Ram. That's the one we just did in Jackson. That was a really cool event.
Now, and now, when it goes wrong, is this where a lot of paranormal or ghost hunters and all they come to share their uh, their stories, or
Yeah.
is that what?
Yeah, what this is basically this was the same as most of the conventions that we go to. Is it was just a paranormal convention where you have vendors coming in selling their books. Um, they had people doing readings, like psychic readings and stuff,
Mhm.
and us doing our presentation. So people could come in and talk to like-minded people about the paranormal, see the vendors, talk to the vendors, and then be able to sit and listen to people tell their stories. I think there was 5 speakers at this event,
Oh wow!
and it was a really good event, really put on really well. And the thing is also when we go to these events, we also record our show at the events. So we interview people, whether they're speaking or whether they're the vendors or just somebody showing up, but these conventions are great because it gets people together and it makes it so that they're not afraid to talk about their experiences and stuff like that.
Right, and then you learn from each other,
Exactly.
and
You're
because
always learning.
you might experience something that they have never experienced, and vice
Mhm.
versa, or something that, oh, I felt that, but I didn't know what it was. So that's great.
Yeah.
Now here's now the one on the right. Would you go inside? I'd go there and
Oh
sleep
yeah.
there in a minute.
Oh heck yeah. I tell you what, a lot of people say that, well, would you go inside there? I'm like, yeah, that's one of the cool things about what we do is we get to go into places that people can't normally go into. And I would definitely investigate that place.
Oh, I would love to. I would. You're crazy. You would? Yeah, I would. 'Cause I've seen things even on Facebook. They put up there says, "Would you spend a night here for $10,000? Show me the
Heck
money."
yeah. Yeah. First I'd probably say, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you should give me the money first and then I'll tell you." Oh.
Yeah, yeah. You could kind of like, oh, I'm so afraid.
Mhm. Now let me tell you a little story about the other house. This
Yes.
is a house. Now we do a convention at the Ohio State Reformatory, which is a huge prison in Mansfield, Ohio. And we do the convention there. So we rented this house. It's just south of Mansfield in another little town. And we rented it because it's old Victorian home. We were like, heck yeah, we'll rent this place. Beautiful, beautiful house. And bonus, right behind it is a cemetery that has a lot of people from the Revolutionary War in it.
Oh,
So I was like, heck yeah, because every time we go out of town, we always end up at cemeteries anyways. So we rented this house and we were there with a few other friends. We all got together and we rented it. And through the middle of the night, now I didn't hear it because I was in a different bedroom, but our friends were like, who the heck kept getting up in the middle of the night and going in the bathroom and turning the water on? And I'm like, I have my own bathroom in my room, so I don't know. And my friend Sarah, she had her own the bedroom with a bathroom in and all that. And we're like, wasn't me. And come to find out, we could hear voices in there. We heard footsteps up and down the hallways. We heard um, they heard it in the middle of the night. Somebody going in the bathroom and turning the water on, even though there was no one there. Me and my sister were in there, and everybody else went into town. And I kept hearing someone call my name, and I'm like, "Who didn't?" I thought everybody left. There was nobody in the downstairs. So
wow.
that's
What a neat place to not expect this, and then it happens. What a bonus.
yeah. And we didn't do an investigation there because we didn't get permission from the owners to do an investigation.
Right.
Okay, we're that way. And plus, after peopling all day at the convention, you just want to come back and relax. And the owners actually called me and they're like, "Hey, this is so and so with this house. We just, want to talk to you about what happened." And I'm thinking, all right, you know, we rented a house. What did they say we did? Stuff like that. And I call them up
Oh, yes.
and they're like, "I noticed in the book here, that somebody wrote that they had paranormal experiences. We want to know all about it." And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah." They said a lot of people that rent the house get like haunted, like paranormal activity. So I would told him about it, and I said, we didn't investigate because, we're very respectful people. We didn't want to
Right.
investigate a house that we didn't have permission to investigate. And they're like, well, next time we're going to be there. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I understand, you want to be there to make sure. And they're like, no, we want to see what happens. So next time we rent it, we're going to invite the owners over. And another thing I wanted to do, and we didn't do it, was I wanted to have a party where everybody had to dress up in 1700 and 1800 clothing.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Dinner. Yeah. The owners like all up. They're like all about that. They're like, okay, we'll do it someday.
Yeah,
But
that's real neat.
You never know what's going to happen when you go into the locations.
Okay,
And
there's some strange guy here on this one on the left.
the goober alert. But you never know what's going to happen. And the thing is, I think that things happen because they understand that we're into it and we're open to it.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's a great thing. Like one thing is that you're respectful of other people's property, even the graveyards. You can go
Yeah.
by. So let's go check this out. Get permission and
Yeah.
be respectful.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially graveyards. Now, a lot of people say, well, why would a graveyard be haunted? I don't think it's really haunted by the spirits. I don't think the spirits are hanging out there haunting people. But you got to remember, it's where people go to remember you. It's the
Yes.
last place that somebody's going to say your name, because I believe that there's 3 phases of death. There's your physical death, when you actually die. There's when they put you into the ground, and there's the last time that someone speaks your name. And cemeteries are a good place to go and try to communicate with people respectfully. Don't go in there and say, scream, light up these lights, or anything like that.
Right.
But we go in, and when I walk through cemeteries, I'm reading off the names and I'm saying hi and I'm doing that, and it really does work. Like my sister, we were in a cemetery here in Toledo, and she was over in the military section. And she was like, hey, I really want to thank you for your service, all that. And she says, does anybody want to say hi? And over her spirit box, the SB7 spirit box, you could hear hello, hola. You could hear all these different languages saying hello. It was great. I mean, we were just blown away. And that's the thing. I think it is that it's where somebody remembers you. I don't think there's any ghosts hanging out at cemeteries,
Now, I imagine this is your sister on the right.
Yeah, in the black, that's my sister Jen. In the middle is Naomi. She is with Tri-C Ghost Hunters, and they were one of the first ghost hunting groups that we used to get invited to go ghost hunting with. And this was at the Ohio State Reformatory during the convention.
Oh, okay.
And we just got together, and she bought the alien off my sister, so she had to show that off. But she's a great friend and a really good investigator. And like I said, she's with Tri-C Ghost Hunters, which is a group, the 3 cities in Ohio, Cleveland, Columbus, and I think Akron, Ohio, somewhere like that. But Tri-C, they have probably 300 to 400 members.
Oh, okay, great.
They do investigations all over, and they are the people that go in and help families and stuff like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had to take the picture on the right up there. I love that the Jeep with
that was that
Ghostbusters.
That was that Ghostorama. That person had all kinds of blow up dolls and just the different characters and all that, and they had them all over the place.
Yeah, I thought that was so neat.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is you and your sister giving a lecture.
Yes, yeah. This was in Peru, Indiana. We were doing an event down there, and we were speaking, and it was a really good event. It's funny because where the stage is, if the camera was the other way, you would see a lot of the vendors selling stuff. And we were up there and we're like, should we start? No one's really paying attention, should we? And I'm like, yeah, we got it. It doesn't matter if you have one person watching you or 100 people watching you, always do the same, you do your speech.
Exactly.
So we started doing it. And by the time we were done, there was probably 150 people standing in front of us, listen to us. So I think they enjoyed it.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Okay. the picture on the left with the faces.
Yeah, I don't remember which one that was.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted to put this on here on the house, and I'm going to show you a little clip of that in a minute. The one I went into is a beautiful, beautiful old home we was talking about earlier, offline, and when I got into the editing, one of the closets there
Oh,
was
okay.
completely empty, but there was a face looking out,
Oh,
similar
okay. Yeah, I was gonna
to
say,
this
I'm
right
like, I
here.
don't recognize that.
So that's why I wanted to put that on there.
Yeah.
The picture on the right, is this one of the homes you went into, or?
Yes. That okay. So a lot of people ask me what the most haunted location I've ever been into. This is what we call the bone house. Okay. This is the
Okay.
inside of the bone house. Um, Haunted Toledo was called by the owner of the home because the owner of the house bought the house to remodel. And it's a cool little house. And it's right by the train station here in Toledo. And he started doing stuff in the house, started pulling boards off the walls, and bones started to fall out of the walls.
Oh, wow.
So he started taking more boards off the wall and off the floorboards and the ceiling, and bones were raining out of the walls. And when I say bones raining out, I'm talking when he pulled it off, bones would fall out. He found that the bone house basically was full of bones. Every wall, floorboards, attic,
Wow.
it's full of bones. Okay. Now, where you're looking is the living room. Now, one of the things, like I was saying about my tool that I use, um, the K2 meter, they call it, which is the one that picks up the electronics in the air.
Right. Uh-huh.
You could hold the K2 meter on the porch and it would just be on. You hold it into the door, just hold your arm in the doorway and it will go all the way to red. So it was picking up so much energy in this house, it's basically useless. Okay.
No, the bones were human bones?
Well, that's the thing is we don't know. Now, I've seen a lot of the bones. Chris from Haunted Toledo, who was called in to do the investigation of the house, he showed us a lot of bones. I've walked. Okay, so if where you're looking is the kitchen with the hole in
Right.
the wall, and that's the stairway. When you turn and you go up the stairs to the attic, upstairs they found love letters, they found clothing, they found shoes, stuff like that. There's drawings on the walls, but basically, like I said, the house is full of bones. Now, they did some research and found out that the house was a central location for a religion in the neighborhood called Santeria.
Oh, okay.
And they would upstairs, they're still up there. There was a table with cut marks in it and like a block and tackle above the stairway. So they would do different rituals, I guess. And when the coroner came out and took a lot of the bones away, he basically said that they were canine and chicken. But we've seen some big bones, so I don't
That's
know.
that's a lot of K9 and chickens, wasn't it?
Yes, years. You're talking years and years and years from probably the early 20s up to the 80s.
Wow.
And I was like, come on. Every bone or every board, when I was there, the owner of the house went, well, here, look. He pulled up a board inside the floorboard that he just pulled up, and I saw him do it, was a bone carved in the shape of a head. And unfortunately, I didn't give you that picture. I'll send it to you after the show, but it was a little bone carved like a face. So the
Wow.
bone house is the most haunted location I've ever been in. There's stuff that's happened. We were up there one night, and upstairs they were doing remodeling, and the windows didn't quite fit. They're a little smaller. And I'm like, I'm surprised there's no bats. Just as I said that, a white bat, big, real big, flew over all our heads, scared the crap out of all of us. Thing is, we don't have white bats. It wasn't a dove, wasn't a pigeon. We all saw it. It was a bat, and it disappeared. Was it spirit? We don't know, but we had anything you can imagine happened in that house. Shadow figures, voices, all that. My sister saw a full body apparition of a girl kneeling down in the corner like she was praying.
Wow.
Yeah. And right now the house is now not available for any investigation. The owner doesn't allow people to go in there because someone bought it.
Man. Uh, I hope he's explain it to the ones that bought it.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing. My sister knows the guy that bought it, and he's fixing it up because they're going to work on the railroad station here in Toledo. He bought it to make it into a communication center for the people working on the train station. And he was like, "Yeah, I bought this house on Newton Street." And she's like, "On Newton Street?" She says, "The Bone House." And he's like, "The what?" He's like, "The
Oh
Bone
no.
House." And we told him all about it, and he was like, "Oh my god."
Oh, now is this uh, friend that helped, or is this someone that you met at a convention?
This is my friend Sarah. Sarah
Okay.
owns Paranormal XL podcast. She also owns the XL Network, which is a network of podcasts.
Oh,
I was doing a convention, and Sarah came running up to me, and she's like, oh my god, Joe, oh my god." I'm like, "Hi," and I'm thinking, who's this? And come to find out, she listened to our show. She loved podcasts, and she says, like, I don't know, but she says that because she listened to our show, she got into podcasting, and me and her became really good friends. And she's an awesome person. She puts on an event um, every year at the Stimpson Hospital. She has a convention there that she puts on now. She has the Paranormal XL Network, where she has her own paranormal talk shows.
oh, great,
Mm-hmm.
great. And this is, I guess, was a booth you set up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our normal setup. You can see the microphones. We actually invite people on, and we record interviews at the events. And this one was at the Ghostorama. And basically, we set up the same setup every time. My sister sells her book. We sell our dowsing rods, stuff like that. But mainly, we use it a lot to get interviews for the show.
Well, that is a cool setup.
Yeah, very
Now
simple.
this was the prison we was
Yeah,
talking about,
that's
correct?
the Ohio State Reformatory. They have a convention there every year, and it's a great event. Everybody from the TV shows are there. They have I think they had 80 some vendors last year.
Wow.
Plus, they have a car show go on. And the neat thing about it is when you go to the convention there, and it's called Parapsychon, but when you go to the convention there, you pay to do the tour. So you're only paying to do your self-guided tour, and then you get to go to the convention. So you get total reign of the building. You go anywhere you want in the building. And the Ohio State Reformatory is huge and extremely haunted.
Yeah. Wow. What a great way to utilize a standalone building instead of just letting it waste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going. You speaking of your sister's book, let's do a little plug for it right here. Hold on a
Yeah.
second.
I got them.
Did you know that Ohio is considered one of the most haunted states in America? Author Jennifer Shortridge takes you deep into the supernatural stories of all of Ohio's 88 counties in her new book, Ohio, The Haunt of It All, available on Amazon. With over 25 years of experience as a paranormal investigator and host of the 222 Paranormal Podcast, author Jennifer Shortridge brings chilling tales of ghosts, witches, and eerie encounters to life. Are you ready to face the ghost of Ohio? Then order your copy of this amazing journey through Ohio's most haunted places. Ohio, The Haunt of It All, from paranormal investigator and author Jennifer. Did you know that?
Well, somebody was kind
Yeah.
of echoing or something there. I don't know why that was.
It's because it's
Uh,
spooky. Yeah.
yeah. I want to share this video also right here because and we're going to talk about this one
Mhm.
when it gets through here.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I'm just taking a video. Taking a video. This looks like fun to me. This looks like fun to me. Holy cow. Holy crap. Holy crap. The entire The entire room is full of dolls. Nobody wanna talk?
Now, what was all these dolls at?
That's at Post Town Elementary School. It's a haunted school, and I can't remember the exact location of it, but that was at a place called Post Town Elementary, and they collect dolls. I mean, can you imagine waking up if it was a bedroom, but that was a schoolroom? But if can you imagine waking up and seeing that?
That's the reason I want to show this right here. Is because I collected some dolls.
Mm-hmm.
One that was in this attic and it's like 4 foot tall, and you can position the leg to walk if you want to. It still had the original tattered clothes on it. It was been in this attic for like probably 75, 80 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be in there, and the guy said, "Well, you can have it." So I brought it home, and I have to keep the doll hid
Yeah.
uh, because they know where it's at in the closet. The grandkids come over, they will not open that closet door
Yeah.
and because it's really, really spooky. And I've done some little videos with them, just spook, just kind of a
Mm-hmm.
horror little things that I did. And I had all the dolls. One looked like Chucky, and had several of the old ones sitting there. And I had this crazy music going on. And all of a sudden, this big loud thing comes up, and the candles was going. And when they showed it back over, I seen the doll over there had a knife with it to the other one's throat. I mean, just kind of weird, just I was
Mm-hmm.
doing that. And when I do stuff like that, my wife goes nuts because little horror stories. And especially when I put the music and stuff, she has to leave the room.
Yeah.
But I just seen that. I says, "Gosh, that was neat. I'd be wanting to take some of them home."
Yeah. Yeah. We did the investigation there that night, and that room was interesting. We did get a lot of activity out of that room, but I didn't see any dolls move. I didn't hear any dolls talking.
Well, maybe it was a good school. Hopefully,
Yeah.
no bad karma there. I'm going to show you this little clip. It's my clip there that
All
of
right.
this house I've been telling you about. It's unfortunately tore down now, but it's a little promo that I did. I'll just show a few seconds of it where you can see it. Hold on a second. Look, to me, that was a beautiful house.
Yeah.
It really was. And of course, I added all the effects with the black and white flicker and the drone and all that mess. But
Yeah.
as a promo to it. But that's the one that I actually went into, and that's where I seen the face coming out of the closet.
Okay.
And doing the editing, we heard the ladies' voices and a child's voice, and come to find out that there was a horrible death there back in the early
Mm-hmm.
1800s. And you could go underneath the house and see the big timber that's left underneath there for the foundation of the house. It's still got the charcoal burnt on it.
Okay.
And the lady had a daughter that was sitting by the fireplace. She was pregnant, and her dress caught on fire. So the mother ran over to put it out. Her dress caught on fire, so all three of them passed away
Yeah.
in the house. And you could feel the oils, and like you said, and also the uh, chillness and stuff. The one lady that was in there with me, she was just really, really scared. And
Yeah.
another guy, he said, something touched me.
Mm-hmm.
Something touched me on the arm. And they really kind of was a little freaking out over it, but it was no harm there. But to me, it got their story out.
That's right.
And because the brothers that said we lived there, we knew something was wrong
Hmm.
there. This is what happened. That's how I knew uh, from the actual family. And to me, I think they was wanting their story to be heard, just like crying out.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, and the story was told.
And we talk about houses and how the hauntings of the houses and all that, and things like the stone tape theory, where the energy is put out into the location, or that sometimes they say that people don't know that they died. Like in that situation, they probably knew that they died because they burn up or that. But the thing is, we don't know what they see. We don't know what they really truly are. I mean, honestly, we don't even know what ghosts really are. I mean, we always say, oh, they're just dead people, but we don't know what they are. You know what I mean? So to them, they could be in that house and seeing the people in those houses. And like the guy said, he felt like he got touched. Maybe that was just one of the spirits reaching up, trying to touch him, going, hey, hey, because they see him. You don't know.
That's correct. And
Hmm.
I've been touched in the back of my head one time at a house that we was doing uh, a podcast on, and that it was a Civil War house where they had tunnels that went under
Hmm.
to for them to escape. And I was upstairs, and it's like somebody just kind of tapped me in the back of the head. There was
Yeah.
nobody there.
Hmm.
They kind of a little freaky, but it was kind of you know neat in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
For us, it would be great neatly. Other people would maybe run out screaming.
Yeah.
Well, Joe,
Yeah.
it's the top of the hour, and I really appreciate you coming on and telling us about your experience and tell us about. We're looking forward to your book coming out. Just kind of let us know where I can post it on
Yeah.
there
Definitely.
also. And I hope you just go out and you and your sister and really get heavier and heavier into more of the ghost hunting like you
Oh, yeah.
really desire to do.
Hmm. Yeah. And if any of your viewers or listeners would like to check us out, like I said, we're 222 Paranormal Podcast. I do the show with my sister. We're valuable. We're valuable. We're available anywhere you get podcasts from. iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the outlets we're on. We're in our 10th season. We've got 400 and some shows that you can binge listen to, all for free. It's all still out there. And check out our website. We will be, posting places that we're going to be. And other than that, thank you for having me on the show. Check out my sister's book. It's available now on Amazon. It covers all 88 counties of Ohio, ghost stories, and some stories from her haunted house. But thank you for having me on. That was great.
Well, thank you, Joe. And I'm going to kind of put you backstage a
All
second.
right.
I'll come right back to you. All right, hold on a second. All right, it's been a great show. I hope you heard some great stuff uh, from Joe, and look out for his book, his podcast. He's got lots of stories there. 10 years into it, his sister got a great book. You can also look on Amazon or go to his website. That's the best thing to go. Go to his website, his Facebook page, and learn some things. And who knows? You might have to contact them. You might have something there that you want them to come to check out for you. Okay. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Have a great evening.